Hello, everyone, and welcome to Women's Empowerment Coffee Break, Episode 6 From Waiting to Raising. I am your host, Rochelle Higgins, and I'm so excited to be here with you all on today. I'm just so glad that we are doing this. We are uplifting the unheard voices of women. We started off with a phenomenal testimony from Dr. Leah Brundage, and we had Tequila Cobbs come on talk about what love is, and then we had Reverend Robin Burnett come, and she talked about enough is enough. So today we have none other than Alecia Brown. She is a wife and mother of two. She's an educator and administrator and has been teaching for 4 years. She is the founder of Come Through Sis. And this is a ministry that she ministers to women. Everybody comes together and they encourage each other and uplift each other. And so I just want you to allow the Lord to use you, allow God to minister to you. So I want you to start off and let us know what it was and how your story came about to waiting unto marriage.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. My story started. I was raised in the church. I grew up at small town called Greensboro, Georgia. I went to my church was then was Mount Zion Baptist Church. I grew up in the church all my life. Back then, my former pastor was Reverend Herman Clark, the late Reverend Herman Clark. I remember because back then in Greensboro, I don't know if this is where everywhere goes, but that back then, we only had church once a month, and that was every first Sunday. That was our time to meet. But other than that, we had Sunday school. I think it was like every other Sunday. So we still met. And when we didn't have Sunday school, my dad used to different church visit different churches in Atlanta. So I remember I always wanted to get closer to God. I always wonder about the stories and stuff. So I would always, I just love church. I love to worship. I love to read about him. So I'm like, okay, I know that, I'm young. So I'm like, what is it for me to do? And how could I serve God or do something for God at a young age? So back then, I know we did at Mount Zion. It was a group of us. It was mostly like my cousin and some of the other members where the children basically got baptized at a certain age. So I remember when I got baptized, I was either 11, around 10 or 11, but I've been in the church all my life, so it wasn't, I didn't know the reason why I was getting baptized, because some people say I got baptized when I was younger, but I don't know why I did it. So I knew that I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. I understood that, so I know when I got baptized that, what it truly means, and it still carried me on to this day. So for the waiting part, growing up, so I got baptized, I'm still in church, so I'm trying to I was like in teenager age, so I'm trying to figure out what do I do? So I'm 13, I'm a teenager, and I used to be an usher at my church. So I'm like, okay, I like to do this, but I know that it's more that I want to do for God. So back then, and I still current now, that I love to dance. So I said, okay, that's when praise dance was starting to, everybody was doing it, and everybody was at school like, okay, I praise dance in my church. And I was just like, what is praise dance? You talking about shouting? Like, I'm not gonna play with God with no shouting and stuff like that. So that was like, no, you will express yourself through dance. It's all talking about it. And at that time, also my current pastor was, back then it was Reverend Herman Clark and Pastor Corey Macon. So that's when then we started having service first and third Sunday back then. So that's when he came in. So I told my pastor and my first lady, I'm like, hey, I want to praise dance. So that was just like, go ahead. So me and my cousin and I, we used to make up praise dance because we love to listen to gospel song. Because we used to make up dances outside of R&B. So we're like, okay, let's always make up a routine to this, because they was also on the dance ministry at their church as well. So we used to come together and praise dance or whatever. So I'm getting to that part, y'all. I have to tell y'all that before we get into it. So we started dancing together. So now I'm heading to like high school. So I did that. It was more people joining. So, that was our way of expressing our praises to God. And I was able to help other young girls to join and all that. So now I'm getting a little older, right? So now back then, I grew up in Decatur, Georgia. That's where I am from. So it was a teen skating place. It was Decatur Family Skate. If you're from Decatur, you know what I'm talking about. Decatur Family Skates and Golden Glide. That was the place where young people meet. It was like a little party thing, and it was like a skating thing as well. So everybody have a little boyfriends and stuff, and I'm looking like, it's all right. It was all fun and games. It was like, okay, that's my boyfriend. Okay, whatever. So I'm getting towards high school, and me and my cousin and I, it was, I remember like it was yesterday. We was at their house. They went to their church. I went to mine. So we often visit each other churches every now and then. So at first it was just a pact. It was my cousin and I. So we was just like, you know what? We're going to wait until we're married. So it was like, yeah, okay, you better not do nothing. You better not do nothing. So it was just like, okay, y'all, let's do it. So, and to me, it was more of prophetic than what we were saying. And we knew what we were saying, but it was more of God had a plan for our lives. So now it was just a pact, right? Like a club. To me, it felt like a little club. So as we started to get older, and you're dating and stuff like that, and it turned into we all had our own personal relationship with God. So more for me, I think as I got into the 10th grade, that's when, because back then my pastor was just Corey Macon at the time. So everything was just like his teaching. I thank God for he is my former pastor now, Apostle Corey Macon and New Life and First Lady Macon. I thank them so much because it opened up a lot of what the Bible tells us, what we're supposed to do, and all those things. So it was more of I wanted to break this generational curse. Like it wasn't a pack anymore. It was just I want to do this for me. I mean, we're gonna still hold each other accountable, but at the same time, I don't want to do it and say, okay, I did it because it was a pack. I'm doing it because this is what God wants me to do, and that's what I wanted to do as well, is to break that generational curse. So getting older, dating, we don't get into that. So I'm just gonna stop right there because I don't want to get into the questions.
Right. So, and I thank God that you mentioned the pact because, I was a part of that pact with you and
Yeah.
with along with other people. But that right there, us saying that and just being able to say, we're going to wait until marriage, that was really something that was serious and something that we kept each other accountable for. Even though we said it in our young age, we also kept each other accountable. We and because we did it together, it didn't feel like we were alone. It felt like, well, I'm not the only one that to make this great decision that, okay, um I want to wait until marriage. But I'm glad you said that. But also you went on to say that it became something, a personal commitment, pledge that you said to God. And how did you feel? Like, how did other people feel like when you would say, oh, I'm waiting to marriage? Like, what did you feel? What obstacles came along with that?
So, when it got serious, so we it came us, like I said, I was in the 10th grade. So back then, it was I was in the band when I was in high school. I was at Towers High School. Whoop, whoop. So I was there. So I always had a nice shape. I mean, whatever. I just say that much. So when I would say it, when I used to date guys, and I would tell them straight off the hill, I said, "Listen, I'm not doing anything." So exit it out your mind. And also, I also had I'm the youngest of my siblings, so I have two brothers and one sister. So how they like basically I knew the game, right? So you couldn't run game on me. So, and I had older cousins and uncles, but it came personal to me or challenges that I had when I would say it. They were like, "Girl, ain't nobody finna do that. You sleeping with that boy?" I'm like, "No, I don't have to sleep with this boy." And I had a boyfriend at the time when I was in the 10th and 11th grade. But and the crazy thing is, but the guys that I was dating, they were so understanding. It wasn't I was never pressured. If I felt as though, hey, I'm gonna talk to somebody else, it was fine, and we can like, okay, it's fine, go ahead. But it was just the people who was around me thinking that I could not do it because some people have never done it and never been seen, or people even say it at the age that I was that I'm awake because I'm 15 and 16 saying it. They like, "Girl, you ain't gonna do that." So that was the things that I had ringing in my ear, the challenges that I had.
Okay. So even with the things that the peer pressure or people telling you that that's not possible, or girl, you don't know what you're saying. Like even when it got to those moments where you got older, and I want to ask, I know this, but for our viewers, they don't know this. How old were you when you got married?
I was 26.
So that's a blessing that you can say that you waited unto marriage that you were 26 years old, and not to shame anybody, but it's just a blessing to see that someone was able to commit themselves to God and say, God, I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to um, wait until marriage. I understand what it means and what I'm doing. And what can you tell me what blessings that you think that has come from it?
Okay, the blessing that it comes from first, I was able to help other people through it. And hold on, say that last question. What you say?
So, like, what do you feel like? How do you feel like the blessings that came from you waiting until marriage?
Okay, the blessing was the waiting. I did it because it was, like I said, it was more personal for me because it was my faith that I know that if I can do it, it'll be a blessing for my children, or women who I can reach. That I know that if I tell them my story, that hey, you can do it. A man will wait for you. You don't
Right.
have to. You don't have to settle to say if a boy say that I love you, and that's his a door to open up to say I have to have sex with you. I have to do this because he said that I love you. Like a man can still love you with you having your boundaries, saying no, I'm
Right.
not this. I'm going to stick to this. No matter what you say, no matter what you give me, it's not going to, the price is more better than waiting to receive something, if that makes any sense what I'm saying.
Yeah, and for just for a little nugget, I'm gonna drop in. Even for me, the blessing came out of that. It made every person that was not meant for me go another way, because they were in this mindset of, oh, she's just saying that. But then when actuality happened and they realized, okay, this girl is serious, it basically took away whoever wasn't for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it was like it basically protected me, and it basically kept me in a place so that when my husband did come, it was like, this is the one for me. This is the one, and we're doing this together. And so the fact that this beauty of just waiting until marriage, I think that it's just a testament of, like, just being able to say there is someone that's out here that's willing to. I don't have to compromise. I don't have to do anything to say, oh, I have to do this to keep, or I have to do this, and if I don't, I will lose. But for you and I, for both of us to be able to say, well, no, it is capable. You can do it. And the blessing and the beauty in it. I think for the both of us, we can say that it protected us and shielded us from the people that were not our purpose mate and our soulmates.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to talk about. We talked about the waiting into marriage. So let's shift the gears to
Okay.
raising children. So tell me the beauty, because I don't want to tell your story. So you got married, you waited to marriage, you got married. Now what happened after that?
Okay. So as I got married, February the 7th, and I'm gonna say that everything for Derek and I was new. When I say new, I mean we moved in an apartment together. We had to do everything together when it came down to after we got married. So it was very exciting. And around April, a lot of people don't know this, but I actually had a miscarriage with my first child. So that was kind of difficult to get through. And eventually we had Alina. Things it kind of shifted because I have two brothers and one sister. So, and versus to my husband, he just had one brother. So it's kind of we had to learn each other when it come down to living, because you know how men's are. So we had. It's like, why you didn't pick up your pants? Why you didn't put that in? So it was, even though we was dating for a very long time, we stopped talking. So it was just like we was learning each other when we moved in together. Then we had Alina, like I said, and yeah, we just had to learn each other and learn how to raise a baby together. That's when I came a teacher at a daycare then, but having to watch somebody else's kids, then have to come home and have to, be a mom. And I had Alina, then right after I had Alina, I had Derek. So it was kind of like back to back. So we had to figure out how to still have date night, still communicate with each other, and then be there for the kids and have, family and friends time, ministry time. So we had to learn how to do all that. Yeah.
Yes. And so, like, you got married, and how many months later after you got married before you got pregnant with Alina?
2 months.
Okay, 2 months. All right. So, in that brief window,
Uh-huh.
tell me how, like, that adjustment, because I know most couples, when they go from like just being freshly newly married, they're in this season of this honeymoon phase, and they're like, oh, I'm in love and I'm in love, but then you get you have to shift into this moment of, okay, now we're about to be parents. So what was the challenges that you're adjusting from this honeymoon phase into this reality that, okay, wow, things are about to change real quick?
So it was, since it happened so quick, we had to hurry up and we just had to do what it do, basically. Um, but the shift was, it was different because, like I said, everything was new to us. We just moved in together, so we had to learn each other, and then raising kids. But then also it was still kind of difficult because you'll think that, okay, I'm married now, that
Right.
that no one would say, was she really this? And it was more of a backlash from that. I had to be like, so why are you still asking? Why are you, people was, I'm like, why are you doing that? So, but for Derek and I, we just had to get to learn each other, learn read the mothers, because when he was growing up, he didn't he didn't have any other sister or like baby like cousin or something around that, because most of his family live in either New Jersey, New York, or in South Carolina. So he had no idea about raising a child.
Right.
So it was a learning experience more for him as well, because we had to learn how to change a diaper. We have to learn how to all versus me. I already work in the daycare field, so I know all those things. But so he had to learn as well, and we had to learn how to still, since it was so fresh, we had to still learn how to date each other. We're still in honeymoon stage. We still have to, you know, see about each other, basically, be there for each other.
Okay, so let's talk about the communication and the trust and the shared values that had to like take place when y'all were like navigating this transition.
Um, the transition. Me, I think it was a more struggle for the transition for him more so than me, because my husband's laid back, but he also likes to hang out and things like that with his friends. So the transition from that, we had to, first of all, we had to figure out, because you have to know each other love language.
Right.
So we had to figure out, okay, cause mine's, I would say mine's all of them, but mine's are mostly like quality time. So, my husband, he always worked all the time because he was a manager at a place. So sometimes he had worked 12 hours, 15 hours, and I was at home with the baby. So we had to figure out that the transition on how could we still keep this together with it being, I already got a baby. I mean, we have a baby. I was already pregnant. So we had to figure out how could we be there for each other when in any moment, in every moment. I say in every moment, whereas it's spiritual, mentally, we had to figure out, because my time, I can be like, okay, I want to spend time with you. He's like, well, I got to do this. So we had to how to compromise with each other.
Okay, and so talk about more about the like give us some biblical strategies, some things that you guys had to do in order to like keep everything together during this transition.
Um, we definitely had to set boundaries, especially when it came down to family and friends. Like I said, we already got a baby and doing this, so because one thing that one of my mentors, Miss Pearl, she always taught me, make sure that your marriage is first. Your marriage is your first ministry, your family.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to draw the line with certain people, and that, you know, when your husband say, when it's, you know, let's talk or let's eat, you had to be like, okay, my friends who wasn't married, I had to, and he had also to draw the line to when, you know, when we need to be with each other, we were together, because we went from single to married. So we had to make sure that we're doing everything as married versus being single, if I answer that question correctly for you.
And I'm glad you said marriage is your first ministry, because that's key, because that is uh, a commitment, a covenant that you have made before God, and the fact that you value that covenant, where you said, you know what, I got to put some boundaries here. I got to say, you know, I'm no longer single, so I have to we have to work together, we have to be together, be able to be in this commitment with one another, and being able to do that. And I mean, with all this going on, you got married, 2 months later you got pregnant, and you're fresh going from single into married. I know that had to been a really hard to really adjust and get everything, make sure everything is together. But I want to see, or tell me something about, like, how did you maintain intimacy and the connection with each other, even after being married for such a short period of time before transitioning into parenthood?
Your phone was breaking up a little bit. Can you repeat that question?
I can hear you. So I was saying, what did you do in order to maintain the intimacy and the connection within your relationship after, you know, everything was just so quick that you transitioned to be newly married into this quick transition into parenthood?
I had to I had to, how can I say this? I couldn't make it, well, we both couldn't make it just about ourselves.
Right.
So I would say that we had to put in the work for it. So that's why I would ask that question, because, you know, everything changed. Nothing is separate anymore. Mostly everything is one. So when it came down to money, when it come down to making decisions, you know, you got to talk to each other when we make a decision, or you wanted to have people over, because a lot of people, and I have heard this a lot, even when it come down to when people coming over.
Right.
So, you know, some people are like, you know, you come over here, girl, you come over here. But at the same time, that's his house as well. Like, he should feel comfortable in his own. So you have to communicate, hey, is it okay for them to come over? Because if you don't feel it, then I'm sorry, but you can't come. He just got off work. He's tired. He just want to come home, be in his peace, and, you know, and relax without A, Y, and Z being there.
And I'm glad that you're talking about this, because this is something that is just so simple as just to let me consider my husband. You know, let me consider that, yes, he may not want company, and he may want to just be in his own space and in his own peace. And the fact that you knew, like, okay, I'm married now, so I can't just say, yeah, I have to make those uh um decisions. Well, not decisions, but like really just say, okay, let me see if that's even something that is going to be okay, because I don't want to cause any problems or anything. So I'm glad that you even brought that up, because that is important, that you be considerate of your spouse, that you consider them and everything. And I'm glad that you're able to even say just a simple thing as, oh, people coming over, which you think is very small, but you know, when you become one, when the two become one, it's like, yeah, I was doing this while I was single, but now I'm married, so I have to do things a little differently. And so I love that. So I want to talk about, like, you know, I know how parenthood is. So go ahead, Pootie. Go ahead.
So I was gonna say, and I hear this topic a lot, where the woman has to ask the husband and the husband, vice versa, where it think it's a controlling thing. Like, you got to ask your husband everything, or you got to ask your wife everything. It's just like, no, it's not like that. It's just we are in a different world, and that's how me and my husband communicate with each other. We're going to ask, hey, if it's okay, hey, because you're being considerate of their thoughts and their feelings. So I also wanted to say that.
Okay, good. I'm glad you say that. You said that. So I want to talk about like just being able to maintain the dynamics because I know parenting uh, can be very chaotic, and it could be like, oh, there's no manual to how to do this. So
No.
tell me how, like in that season where you're like, okay, I'm learning how to do this, did you find yourself like losing the connection between like intimacy between y'all because y'all got so wrapped up in the parenthood part, or how did you balance that?
Um, it was like, I think it was okay, but it came to when, because I had Alina, then right after Alina was like 3 to 4 months, is her old. I think, yeah, she was like 3 months. Then I found out I was pregnant with Derek. I was just like, what, Lord, you sure? Like, how? And we just got married. We just had Alina, and now I'm pregnant again with Derek. I said, so that transition, it was just like, at that moment, I'm like, how am I gonna do this?
Right,
Because that's like almost raising twins. I got two
right,
cars.
right.
And so, and it was a little difficult, but I had a village, and I wanted to give a props to my mother-in-laws, Miss Diane, Miss Adair. They was always there, and also my parents as well whenever I need them. But it did become stressful for me because it was it's just like, okay, we always kids, kids, kids. So, and at that time, we had one on bottle and one off bottle. So it's just like, whoo, but we had to figure out that balance. Like, okay, we had to put them on a set schedule because if not, you know, we wasn't gonna be okay because we are first at the end of the day. So we had to make sure they're straight. Then we had to make sure that we keep that alignment within our marriage.
Okay,
And
so
we took each other breaks when to give each
and
other, because you need,
oh, that's beautiful.
not only does women need break, men's need they break as well. So need to figure out, like I tell my kids at the school, if you need to pull away for a minute, take you a little break or breathe for a minute and come back. So that is very important as well to, mentally, because raising kids, like you said, is not a manual.
Right, right. But I'm glad you even talked about, giving each other breaks, because it sometimes like, especially when everything is new and you're like, oh my God, I'm going through the motions, and it's like, okay, um, oh Lord, I can't take a bath without the baby crying. I can't, like talk about the like the stress of trying to manage it all.
So it was, like I said, 2 car seats is stressed by itself, going to the stores when my husband was at work, or just, going throughout our day. But the challenge that I had, I think Alina, she was like 1.5, I want to say. But she would talk, but she wouldn't say much. So, and that was, at that moment, it was, I won't say stressful, but it was just like, okay, we got to, make sure you get an ear check, and she actually went through speech therapy. So that's what a time where it became, the what do I do? I'll make sure I do the right thing, make sure I cross my T's and dot my I's. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so now this is a really intriguing conversation, and I'm loving the momentum that we're having as we have this conversation. So at this time, if you have any questions, I have some questions already, but if you have any questions that you either have for Alecia or myself, please drop them in the comments. Also, if you have experiences or you have anything that has like something that you can share, something that you can add to this conversation, put that in the comments. So I'm going to give you the first question, Alicia.
Okay.
So the first question that I have is, how do you incorporate faith and spirituality into your children's upbringing?
Mm. So, my there you said their faith.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I always well, we attend our church, our current church now, New Life Christian Ministry International. And my kids, I also praise dance at my church. I still do it. So, and as they was in my room, as they was growing up, I always pray with them. I read the word with them, and I'll try to put it in a way where they understand it, even if it was just the smallest thing. And they would try to do the same dances I'm doing that I used to practice at home. And I always just try to instill it in within everything that I did. I always try to include my kids, whether it was corporate prayer with me and my husband, we hold their hands and we will pray and speak over them. But and what else I can say? But they also I teach at a Christian school, Covington Academy, and they always reading the word, they always praying, they believe. So I try to put it where they understand it. I have to use me or daddy, or try to make it fun for them to where they will understand it. If that
Okay.
answers correctly.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Okay.
So we're going to move on to our next question is, how did you manage societal pressures and expectations regarding celibacy before marriage?
I maintained it. First, I had amazing friends and best friends. We kept each other accountable. For when it came down to, if I said I needed prayer, or if I'm going somewhere, they know we knew each other. Your friends, you have to learn your friends. And you know when it comes to a weak point for them, they're like, girl, don't do that. So it was that accountability that I had within my friends, and always staying in the word of God that helped me stay grounded in what I believe and what I wanted to do, not for me, but for my children and for other women as well.
So, like, when it came to someone saying something negative about your decision, like, how did you respond to it?
I responded, I heard it so much. It was just it it was annoying because I guess it was just impossible, because it wasn't a thing to hear when it,
Right.
especially you being in a long relationship. It's just like, what, you still like that? Nothing.
Right.
like and that is not true. Like, a man can still love you with just conversation and in fun. And if you have to set those boundaries to women who didn't wait, you still can set boundaries. To, if you wanted to wait, you have to set those boundaries. And that's, you got to set it.
So the next question is, how did you overcome the criticism?
How did I overcome it?
Mhm.
I just let them talk. It was like, I knew where I stand with God. I didn't care, because I'm I'm gonna be the one who have to answer to it, not me. So I just didn't care. At some, I was just like, okay, that's your opinion, and it got to the point where somebody asked my husband.
What? Wow.
Yes, it was just like, and he got very upset.
Right.
He was just like, why would you ask me that? Yeah, like, yeah, she did. Like, it was just like he was mad about that, and it was just okay. Like, that's what you think, or I was just like, okay, whatever. Like, you can believe what you want to believe, but I know what God had did for me, and He heard my. He knew that I said I wanted to do it, so we stood on it, and that's what we did.
Amen.
And
So the next question is, how did you train yourself when temptations rose up?
leave.
That's good. Mm-hmm.
know when to because how can I say that? I always not always, because I didn't always do it, but I went out a lot. Me and my cousins and friends, we always hung out. And when it was time to go, it was time to go. If you put in a situation, I had a friend who wasn't. So certain stuff that they did, I couldn't be around them. So I had to know when to leave and know when to stay.
Okay. Our next question is, what are some traditions or rituals you have established with your children, and why are they important to you?
Say that last sentence again.
Okay. What are some traditions or rituals you have established with your children, and why are they important to you?
My mom and dad did amazing when it came to raising me, with keeping them in church, just being not strict, but let them, how can I say that? Not being strict, but telling them what is right at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So always having, because my mom, she was different. My dad and my mom was two opposite. My daddy was the quiet storm. My mom, she was gonna tell you, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. But I instill that in my kids as well, even though they not at the age now they understand, because they 7 and 8. But still, in these days and time that we live in now, you have to tell kids stuff before they get 13. You got to kind of explain it to them kind of now that makes sense. So I just try to talk to them and tell them, hey, because that's what I did. So
Good. We got some good feedback in the comments.
okay.
My mother-in-law, Cynthia Cleckley Darville, says, I believe that waiting allows the person to enjoy the intimacy better. And I true can say that, yes, totally agree with that statement, because to be able to say that, this is the only person you know that you have nothing to compare it to, and that's the beauty in it, where you're not having anything negative or from the past coming in, trickling on in that area. Is beautiful, because you're like, this is all I know, this is the person, we have connected on such a deep level, and it's beauty because you don't have anything to compare it to, because it's like what you guys make is what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the next question is, what are some common misconceptions about choosing to wait until marriage that you encounter?
Um, I have had people say, what's the saying? You gotta test it before you can't
You gotta
drive it.
drive it before you buy it.
I'm like, listen, I believe that when I pray for God, will give it to me.
Right.
So that's one of the things that you don't know.
Mhm.
The big question mark. So that was the thing. I was like, well, what if this or what if that? What is them looking like? That's still not gonna move me about how I feel and what I stand on. So
Okay. So next another comment that was made is when the couple has waited, the commitment is stronger. Would you say that? I agree with that. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I recently, I asked because I knew there was a topic, and I knew we had talked about it before. I can't remember his answer. So I asked my husband. What what I said, what kept you for saving yourself for me? He was just like, because of my commitment on how determined I was, and I knew that you was my wife because you stood on what you believe. You didn't let anything shake you, and you was even firm with him that, no, but he stood with me the whole time. So yep.
Well, that's a good man. That's a good man.
Period.
So the next question is, what do you believe is the most important role of a husband in parenting?
A husband, and
In parenting,
what's
the
the most
important role.
the most important role? I would say communicating. I think because communicating is a role for me. I could say that because a marriage or relationship cannot be right if you guys don't communicate about everything. We can't hide anything or a situation or topic, or you feeling the way, you can't hide it. So I would say communication is the biggest key to keeping it all together.
Okay. And it says, oh, this is kind of piggybacking off of what you just said, because it says, how do you handle disagreements with your spouse regarding parenting decisions?
Um, you said had a disagreement?
Yeah, how do you handle disagreements about your parenting styles? Like you may have a different parenting style from your husband. So how do y'all like navigate through that?
Um, how do I answer that question? I think it will be the girl and boy thing because he never had a sister, so he will be more lenient with Alina than with Derek. So I'm like, hey, I know because that is Alina has her finger wrapped around. She is a daddy's girl.
Mhm.
So it was just, hey, when I'm getting in trouble, both of them got to get in trouble. So that is his princess. Not that Derek is, lesser than, but yeah, when it came to discipline and or making decisions, I think that will be the hard part. It was us. That was Daddy Little Princess. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to be reading some of the feedback that we've been getting from our conversation. They said the honeymoon is now over, but the commitment is still there. One
Mm-hmm.
must allow for trial and error. Married people have to have married couples. Husbands
Mm-hmm.
and wives must put each other first, not mom, dad, or friends.
Absolutely.
And the last comment was each person has to put away ego. And I thank everyone, my mother-in-law, she's one of my number one supporters, and my husband Josiah. Thank y'all for asking these wonderful questions and giving us wonderful feedback. I appreciate this. I appreciate all our viewers. This has been really good. I'm glad that you're able to be vulnerable, to be able to share your story, your difficulties. I know sometimes it may be hard to be a little vulnerable to people that you may not know, or to the internet, because like once it's up you can't take it down. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
thank you for that. Thank you for being a light to many. Thank you for being so encouraging. I want to leave this moment for you to be able to give your final thoughts of final words of encouragement, because women's empowerment coffee break is all about uplifting, empowering, encouraging. So what is some lasting thoughts that you can leave the viewers with today?
Okay. My last thought that I will leave for women is that once you set a goal, or was it whether you call it what's the other word they call it? non-negotiables that
Right.
when it comes down to waiting, stick to it, because you hear from me that you can do it. Even if you have done it already, it is still possible. You still can wait, and you still can wait until God bless you with your husband. And these are the verses that help me through, that always encourage me when it comes down to waiting and raising. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. And the next one was 2 Timothy 1:7. For God have not given us, and that is you, the spirit of fear, but power and love and a sound mind. My next verse that helped me through was Galatians 3:26. In Christ Jesus, you are all God's children of God through faith. And the last one is Romans 12:1, and this is from the NIV version. Therefore, I urge you, brother and sister, in view of God, mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. So I want to encourage you that you can do it. Speak it every day. If you got to put up scriptures, whatever you have to do to reach your goal, or not a goal, but your desire that you want it to wait. When it comes to raising your children, ask God to lead your way, because it's not a manual, but long as if you put in them before God, all things are possible. So that is the last word that I will leave you guys with.
Well, amen. I'm so grateful and thankful for this opportunity. And I thank you for this conversation. Thank you for my viewers who view. Thank you. I'm gonna shout out my Mount Pisgah AME Church family. Y'all support me every week. I love you guys. Thank you so much for jumping on, sharing, and being so supportive of this ministry. I love you to pieces. So next week on July 5th, we have Takesha Hall Humphrey, and she is going to talk about the pressure of not letting go. So I want you to tune in next week, next Friday. July is going to be great. The lineup is going to be spectacular. So look out for it. For on Monday, I'm going to post the lineup for July. We're going to have Takesha Call Humphrey for July 5th. I'm so excited about what God is doing. Y'all keep this momentum going. We keep growing and growing every week. And I'm so excited about what God is doing with Women's Empowerment Coffee Break. So you guys don't want to miss it next week, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on the Women's Empowerment Network. You guys have a beautiful rest of your Friday evening, and I will see you on next week. Goodbye.